You're listening to an encore presentation of Live Talk with Wade Sorochan. Highlights of previous shows featuring special guests and open line discussions. Since this is a pre-recorded presentation, please do not call. And now, Live Talk with Wade Sorochan on AM 930, The Light.
Think there's not a lot going on. Look closer, baby, you're so wrong. And that's why you can stay so long. Where there's not a lot going on.
Yes, that is the theme song from the very popular show Corner Gas, and Brent Butt, a Canadian stand-up comedian, actor, and writer, of course best known for his role as Brent Leroy on the CTV sitcom Corner Gas, which he also created. The series was an instant hit and made its debut in 2004 and ended just recently after 6 seasons. It was on April 10th, 2008 that Butt announced that he and his production company had informed CTV that the 6th season of Corner Gas, scheduled to air during the 2008-9 season, would be the show's last. And Butt in a press release cited a desire for the series to end on the top of our game, for the decision to end it now. And that's exactly what he said on the program here when we had him when the program ended. And we welcome him back to the program. This is a comedian, actor, writer, Brent Butt. Brent, welcome back to the show.
Good to be back. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Well, so how's it been so far since, are you missing the Corner Gas thing yet?
Not so far. I'm sure at some point I probably will, but kind of, dove into stand-up and other projects right away. And, it's too soon to reflect.
I guess you're right. If you didn't have other things on the go and you were just sitting in a rocking chair, watching reruns of it, I'm sure
in a ditch somewhere.
Exactly. I'm sure there would be pangs of nostalgia. But you're a busy guy. You're right. You're in town tomorrow here in Edmonton at the River Cree Resort and doing, what you started doing many, many years ago, stand up.
Yeah, it's still my favorite thing to do. I love doing TV and I love doing radio and I like doing movies and I like doing it all, and hopefully I'll continue to be able to do it all. But the thing I love the most by far is just getting up in front of a live audience and trying to be funny.
And okay, you see that when you said that right now, there were a lot of people breaking into cold sweat even thinking about ever doing that. So what is it about that? Because you're putting yourself out there on the stage, whenever you do this, and if it doesn't go well, that could be very, very terrifying.
Yeah, it's not a pleasant thing when it doesn't go well. At least I've heard. It's never happened to me personally.
Of course.
No, I've had some tanko shows. Yeah, when you start out, you're covered in flop sweat. I've done stand-up standing on a pool table in a biker bar in a green sweater, knowing that I'm going to bomb. But it's one of those things that when it works, it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
And as long as it's working more than it doesn't work, you kind of keep chasing it down. I think if I was bombing 9 out of 10 shows, I probably would hang it up.
Yeah, time to pursue something else maybe.
But yeah, it's it usually works, and when it does, there's no feeling like it. It's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. Something that you don't get on a show like Corner Gas until you meet people who say how much they love the show. I mean, you didn't tape it in front of a live studio audience, did you?
No, we couldn't get that many people to stand out in the field and watch what we were doing.
I don't think there's enough people in Saskatchewan.
I think there's plenty.
Oh, okay, good. Hey, listen, when I had Nancy Robertson on the program after you, we were talking about the set, and I said, did you take anything as a memento? And she said she took a stool. Did you take anything away from the set?
I did.
What'd you take?
That's my business. I haven't told anybody.
Really?
A lot of people have asked me, but I took one thing from each of our standing sets, and I have them in my
and you're not talking?
Back basement, squirreled away.
Not talking?
No.
Okay, what would be the reason that you wouldn't want to share that? Are you thinking somebody it would reveal too much about you?
That's what it is.
You would have
it's deep psychological craziness.
Yeah, say why? Yeah, why did he take that? Okay, you're not going to talk on that. That's fine. But you did take something, obviously.
I did. Yeah, I took lots.
Okay, good. When I was talking to Wanda as well too, and actually when you were on the show the first time, we were talking about your new series, which has been picked up by CTV coming up next fall, called Hiccups. And originally, you told me that you were not going to be in front of the camera, not be starring on the program. But since then and now, things have changed. So tell us why you decided now to take not only a creative role behind the camera, but you're going to be in front of the camera starring with your wife, Nancy.
In a way, I mean, really, it kind of wasn't my idea. It was kind of the network saying, look, we really like the idea of you playing this part. and the odds of it getting picked up are greatly increased if you're in the part of this character. So go back and have a look, see if you can justify putting yourself in there creatively. See if there's any way you can have some interest. So I went back and started rewriting and putting myself in the role, and started getting kind of excited about it. And I thought, yeah, this could work, and it could be a lot of fun. And I started thinking of, Nancy and I have a pretty strong comedic history together, and we're good together. And I just started kind of getting excited about it. So I said to the network, yeah, I could see myself playing this part if that's what you guys really want.
So why did you in the first place pull yourself out of being in front of the camera?
Well, I initially wrote the character. He was kind of different, and it just didn't seem like, it kind of didn't seem like me in my mind. And also, I had some, I was kind of keen to maybe take a break from acting, and I was going to pursue more, I'm doing a TV special in January, and I was going to continue doing TV, but in front of an audience, being myself as opposed to acting.
Right.
And but through the process of Corner Gas, I really did, I fell in love with the format, the narrative format, the half-hour telling a story format. And so once the network said, consider yourself in this role, it was easy for me to go, well, it would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, give us the premise of Hiccups. I think it sounds like it's going to be a hoot. Tell us about, Nancy and what her role is in that, and what your role is as well.
Well, Nancy plays Millie Upton, who is a very successful children's author who has anger issues and other emotional hiccups. She's an overreactionist. She basically, in a lot of ways, she's mentally a 5-year-old, which is one of the reasons she's a very successful children's author. So it's kind of, she's like a grown child in a lot of ways, and she doesn't have that filter that you and I have, that filter that says, maybe I shouldn't punch this cop for writing a ticket, or maybe I shouldn't tell this 300-pound biker to turn his bike off because it's too loud. She doesn't have that filter. And so she, of course, ends up getting herself into all manner of predicaments. She ends up enlisting the aid of a life coach. She's never heard of a life coach. She sees a poster for one, and she immediately thinks, well, that's for me.
Yeah.
And she hires a life coach. Unfortunately, he's not a very good life coach. She's his first client ever, and he's a guy who doesn't have his own life in order.
Yep.
And that's me.
That's you.
Stan Durko. So it's kind of the blind leading the blind. It's somebody who has no idea how to behave, getting guidance from somebody who has no real business giving anybody any direction.
Speaking of idea, where in the world did this idea come to you, Brent?
I don't know. I never know where ideas come from. People ask, where did the idea come from? And you kind of go, well, my brain told it to me one day. I've always been attracted to, as far as comedy goes, I'm naturally drawn to dichotomy. And an angry children's author, I thought, was a funny idea. So I started playing with this character. But ultimately, she's not an angry person. She's actually very upbeat and very optimistic. That's why I like her. She's fun to write for. It's just she's prone to snapping.
Okay.
But she's one of these people that wakes up every day ready to take on the world. It's just that, unfortunately, the day brings interaction with other humans, and that doesn't work well all the time.
Yeah. Brent, tell us about the fans of Corner Gas when you meet them. What are they telling you about the 6 years of that successful series?
Well, fan feedback has always been fantastic. People have been very generous and very warm, and they seem to like the show, and the response from the public was, about 100 times more than I ever thought it was going to be. And so it's just been great. And people come up and they say it's, one of the things I like hearing the most is when people say it's the one show that the whole kind of family can watch together, and it entertains, old people, young children, rich middle-aged people, poor college students. Everybody seems to be finding something in it, and that's the proudest thing for me, because I've always felt that people make they put far too much emphasis on demographics.
Yes.
And it's like, to me, it's kind of like jokes are jokes and people are people. And I know when I'm doing my stand-up, you'll see a 20-year-old guy and a 70-year-old woman laughing at the same thing quite often, or at certain points throughout the show. So I've always felt that just don't worry about demographics. Worry about making it good. People tend to like stuff that's good better than they like stuff that's crappy. That's been my experience.
Yep. So you've had that in your stand-up, and you've carried that over into the TV show as well.
Yeah, I just really try and focus on making it funny and entertaining, and letting everything else fall where it may. But if you work on the product and just work at, we work really hard on the scripts, and we'll spend hours debating which word to say in a certain situation. People often don't know how much work goes into the front end of it. We really try and construct good stories with good jokes.
Sure.
And if you put that in and don't worry about, is this going to be cool or hip or edgy, then if you just worry about it being good, odds are people will like it.
I've always wondered this about comedians. Like, if you go out on stage and you have your agenda, you have your stories all set, and you go, if it's bombing, do you have like a plan B?
Yeah, so a plan B, a plan C, a plan D.
Okay.
Basically, I've been doing stand-up now, 22 years. And I have, probably, say 6 hours maybe of material on a Rolodex in my head, right?
Yeah.
And on any given night, I'm looking for anywhere from a half hour to an hour of that material. Like in Edmonton there, I'll be doing probably an hour on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So you just you pull from that Rolodex based on, you kind of get a feeling for what people are liking and what kind of mood they're in, and what they don't respond to kind of tells you, okay, well, maybe I won't do this stuff. Maybe they'd be more attracted to this stuff. And that's one of the things I like about it. It's like, it's a flow. It's a mercurial dialogue. Jerry Seinfeld said one time, he said, you hear people say stand-up comedy monologue, but it really is a dialogue, because you say something, the crowd responds either by laughing a lot or laughing a little or not laughing at all, or booing. That's their part of the conversation. And then what you say next is altered by that. So, it's called a monologue, but it really is a dialogue. It's just, there's me on one side and 1,300 people on the other side.
Interesting. So tell us about your TV special you mentioned coming up in January. What's that all about?
It's just an old school, showbiz entertainment special. I was a big fan of all the variety shows in the 70s, in the late 60s, early 70s.
Oh, like the Carol Burnett show? And
and Sonny and Cher, and all those old variety shows. Not that I particularly liked the humor specifically on it, but I liked that as just an entertaining hour of show business and in front of an audience, and it always seemed like a hell of a lot of fun to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what my special is going to be. It's going to be me hosting. There will be special guests. There will be sketches. There will be, of course, I'll do stand-up. There will be music. It'll be, I want to make it the most entertaining hour of television I possibly can make it. And I used to do a version of this show live in a nightclub in Vancouver for years, where we would do, but it would be 90 minutes in a nightclub, and it would just be, in front of an audience, guests, and a lot of stuff off the cuff.
Yep.
And it was always just a rip. It was a huge amount of fun. And I'm hoping to translate that into an hour TV special, which we're going to shoot here in Vancouver in January.
Well, I will be looking forward to that, because I've talked many times on this program how I long for those variety shows to come back, and I've had callers say, yes, I wish they'd come back. We have too many, reality shows and things like that. There's not enough variety in general on TV nowadays.
Exactly. And, we're primed economically, historically speaking. Whenever we're at a difficult economic time, entertainment always seeks a revival. It's like during the Depression, vaudeville was at its height,
Yep.
And people need a laugh.
Exactly. And, speaking of these reality shows, so-called reality shows, they're really not reality. I had Karen Grassel on the program, who played the mother on Little House on the Prairie, and she says not a big fan. And, of course, her show was huge in the 70s. There was a lot of variety with shows like that. There were, good cop shows. There was variety shows and things like that. She said what these so-called reality shows are doing, it's putting a lot of actors out of work.
Sure, actors and writers. And I think it's all cyclical, though. I think it's going to come around, because there's no, it comes down to dollars and cents like everything else, and there's no shelf life to these shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Once you see them once, you don't watch the first season of Survivor 8 times. But an episode of Barney Miller, it can be in syndication forever.
Absolutely. Well said. Well, we look forward to that TV special in January and look forward to Hiccups next fall. Brent, congratulations on all your success. On behalf of the listeners right now, I'm sure they're saying, way to go, because you're providing, stuff on TV that, like you said, that's enjoyable for all ages.
Well, thanks to all your listeners. Thanks for everybody who watches what I do and keeping me employed.
That's a good thing, too. Brent, appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right, there's comedian, actor, writer Brent Butt, best known for his role as Brent Leroy on Corner Gas.
Think there's not a lot going on. Look closer, baby, you're so wrong. And that's why you can stay so long. Where there's not a lot going on.
And look for his TV special in January and next fall, Hiccups, writing, producing, and starring in, with his wife, Nancy Robertson, a comedy series for CTV. It's Hiccups, children's author who begins seeing a life coach to deal with her anger management issues. You're listening to Life Talk. My name is Wade Sorkin, back with more right after this.